will try not to trouble you for too long today. I know people want to get home because it's cold outside. Our text today comes from the 5th chapter of the Gospel of Mark, verses 24 through 34. And it reads as thus: And a great crowd followed him and thronged him. Now a certain woman had a flow of blood for 12 years, and had suffered many things from many physicians. She spent all that she had and was no better, but rather grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said, If only I may touch his clothes, I shall be made well. Immediately the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of the affliction. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned and around in the crowd and said, Who touched my clothes? But his disciples said to him, You see the multitudes thronging you, and you say, Who touched me? And he looked around to see her who had done this thing. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction. Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction. Pray with me for just a few minutes behind the topic of people in the crowd. People in the crowd. This morning, as I was showering and shaving, I heard Donnie McClurkin singing, What do you do when you've done all you can and it seems it's never enough? What do you do when your friends turn away and you're all alone? What do you give when you've given your all and it seems you can't make it through? Well, you just stand. When there's nothing left to do, you just stand. Watch the Lord see you through. That's my thesis today. When you've done all that you can, just stand. When you've given all that you have and you have nothing more to give, just stand. Crowds, people in the crowds. And I want to tell you right off the bat, I don't like crowds. I know it sounds strange living in New York City. Well, Curtis Blow said that there are 8 million stories. But I want to be clear too, I love people. I love all people. I just can't love them all at the same time in the same place. And as much as I love the game of football, spent 14 years of my life playing this game, I don't go to football games because of the crowds. You don't know all the people in the crowd. You don't know why all the people in the crowd are in the crowd. Too many variables in the crowd. But in the Gospel of Mark, we see 36 different times where Jesus found himself besieged by crowds, being pressed by the crowds, being followed by the crowds. But for Jesus, he was the object of the crowds. These crowds, just like all of us here today, was mostly made up of the least of these. There were people who came up on the rough side of the mountain. They were people who were hungry. They were tired. They were blind. They were lame.